Today we're going to be making a calzone with fresh spinach. Calzone from Italy, basically what it means is the shape of the pants. That's where they get that little shape from. It's a half moon. Italians have this incredible way of making things after body parts, beautiful women, all kinds of things. Everything, every kind of pasta thing is a shape of something. So, having said that, and having a glass of wine. Okay, very simple. When my grandmother used to do this, she used to do it right on the table with the dough, with the water, with the salt, with the yeast. I'm not trying to make a mess, so I'm not going to do it that way. We're going to take a little bit of flour, approximately 3 cups. Okay? Now we're going to do a little trick when you're making pizza dough or calzone dough. Okay? If you're using yeast, whether it be fresh yeast or the packet, you want to dissolve the yeast, okay, which is about 1.5 teaspoons, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt in the water. That's the trick. What's going to happen is the yeast is going to activate and get to life in the warm water. Very simple. Okay? We're going to make sure everything's completely dissolved. We are going to add the water to the flour. Okay? What we're going to do then is add a little bit of olive oil, approximately about 2 teaspoons. That's going to give the dough some nice texture. And very simple, we're going to begin mixing the dough, okay? Now you're going to get a little messy. You're definitely going to get a little sticky, but this formula works, okay? And again, if the dough's a little wet, very easily, okay, just add a little more flour. No big deal. Okay. Once again, you know, when you're doing this, you kind of got to feel it out. The basic recipe is going to work, okay? But depending on how you do it, like I said, you may need a little more flour. Now, once you get the dough to the consistency that you want, and you've kneaded it a little bit, okay? What we're going to do, we're going to take it like this, and we're going to leave it to settle and rise for a little bit. After a couple of hours of the dough sitting, and it's got time to proof and time to rise, very simple. Okay, we're going to set that aside for a little bit. Now that the hard part's out of the way, which is the dough, we're going to begin to make the filling for the calzone. Now this is the fun part. A little bit of ricotta. Okay? Now again, you want to make sure it doesn't come seasoned. You want to add a little bit of cracked pepper. Okay? Now, the trick is too, I'm adding the pepper first, because now I'm about to put a little Parmesan cheese. As you notice, I didn't add salt. You don't want to put too much salt. You do want to put a pinch, because it will help bring out the flavor of the cheese. Okay, but here's the secret, and here's a little trick. We're going to put a little mozzarella, a little fresh mozzarella in there. Now, a little shredded Asiago, and a little shredded Fontina. That's also going to go in the mix. So again, fresh ricotta, Asiago, Fontina, a little bit of black pepper, some Parmesan. Now you could do this one of 2 ways, okay? With the spinach, you can either A, get a little garlic, saute it with a little bit of olive oil. I'm not gonna do that today. What I'm gonna do is use some beautifully fresh picked spinach, just the leaves, and I'm in there because once we put this in the calzone, it's gonna create a little pocket, it's gonna cook, it's gonna steam nice, it's gonna give you a nice, fresh, clean taste. Very simple. We're going to mix this up. Okay? Again, the ricotta, the spinach, the mozzarella, the Parmesan. It doesn't get much better than that. Well, maybe it does. We'll have another little sip of wine. Okay? Once this is all mixed nice, very, very, very simple, we're going to take our dough. Okay? We're just going to gently with our hands press down. Make sure you have enough flour on your board too. It's always important to put a little flour down. Very simple. With the tip of your fingers, you're going to start pressing down and moving in circular motion to stretch your dough out. Or if you're good enough, you can give it one of those. Now again, the trick too to this, when you're doing a calzone or a pizza, you don't want to go too thin in the middle. Because what's going to happen is if you go too thin, it's going to create a hole. Or if you're making pizza, what's going to happen is you're going to go pick up the slice and it's going to go like this. You don't want that to happen. All right, very simple. calzone. Depending on the size you want, we're gonna make it a little bit bigger. Take your filling. Very, very, very simple. And a calzone's like a giant pillow. I almost want to put a few of these on my bed and take a little nap. All right? We're gonna fill the middle of it like that. Very simple. Once we get it filled, we're gonna fold it over like a little half moon. That's the shape. You can either do one or two things. You can get a fork and do this. I don't think you need to. With the tip of your fingers, you're just gonna go like that. Very simple, half moon shape. Some people brush it with egg oil. What you're gonna do though, and what I do recommend, is just a little drop of olive oil. Give it a little loving. Don't be afraid to love your calzone. All right, very simple again. Little olive oil, beautiful. Now we're just gonna very simple, bake in the oven, 350 degrees. You can deep fry it too. Most of us don't have the luxury of a deep fryer at our house, but if you have one, more power to you. Very simple, throw it in the oven, 20 minutes, 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Now, after 25 minutes of being in the oven, and again, not everybody's gonna have a beautiful wood-burning pizza oven, but after 25 minutes, the finished product, and again, you can deep fry it. Pizza frita, that's how you say it in Italian. Once it gets golden brown out, this is something you gotta, once it comes out of the oven, let it sit for a few minutes, because what happens is if you get a cut right into it, it's just gonna pour right out. This has got a lot of love up in here. You got your Asiago, your Fontina, your ricotta, your Parmesan, your fresh spinach. Let it sit for a few minutes, and just to show you what it's gonna look like, cut that open. Miki, look at the inside of that. Look at the cheese in there, the ricotta, the spinach. Cut it into a few pieces. Everybody's happy. That's a beautiful thing. And that's the calzone with fresh spinach and ricotta. Enjoy. Bon appetit.